Hi everyone and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve and you can find me on Ravelry as Dramatic Knits and Instagram as Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for tuning in one more episode, and if you're new, I hope you enjoy what you see and you'll subscribe, like, give the thumbs up, and join us in the future as well as check out past episodes. This is episode 393 and today is Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me this episode. This is going to be a short but sweet episode with lots of finished objects, a little bit of stash enhancement, and catching up with you all since it's been a hot minute since I've recorded. So, catching up over the last few weeks, we've just been really busy with work and family stuff. We'll get the Debbie Downer news out of the way first. We've been dealing with a lot of family things with Andy's dad. His health has been not so good over the past several weeks. They've been not so good over the past several years, but it just kind of took a turn for the worst. And he suffered from congestive heart failure and was on a heart transplant list or a heart pump list for several years, but they were able to kind of put it off. And about 6 weeks ago, his health took a downturn and he was placed in the hospital, and they pretty much said, until you have a transplant or your heart pump put in, you are unfortunately not leaving the hospital. So he spent about 6 weeks in the hospital, and unfortunately several things just kept happening that prevented them from being able to put a heart pump in to do his surgery. And Andy's dad passed away last week. It was unfortunate. It was kind of sudden right at the end, but it was not unexpected, if that makes sense. So I personally waited to record until after this weekend's event because Andy did join me at the Michigan Fiber Festival this weekend. But I felt like I wanted to share that news with you all because it is part of our life and part of what's going on. But I didn't want Andy to have to deal with a lot of people bringing the topic to attention at the show. So I waited till today to record. And Andy and his brother got to be there when he passed. It was very hard for him, but it was okay, if that makes sense. He was out to Indianapolis where his last few weeks were, where he was waiting in the hospital several times. In the last few days, he was there every day, going back and forth, which is about a 2.5 hour drive each way. Trying to make plans, trying to be there, trying to visit. And as news kind of kept coming in that things were not looking good, he, was there more often, and he passed on Tuesday, but on Monday, he got to sit down and kind of have a discussion with his dad that I think was good for both of them. And so they got to have that closure, and they basically, his dad and him and his brother decided that they just weren't going to prolong the pain and the stress of it all. And so he was on kind of not a permanent heart pump, as well as his kidneys went into failure. So he was on dialysis the last few days, and they decided that they were just going to turn off the machines. And it didn't take much longer than that, but So we're kind of in the planning stages right now, and Andy went back up to northern Indiana before Michigan to kind of get things in order. And so we're still trying to get, every day we're getting new things that we're dealing with. Trying to be there for Andy as much as I can, but there's certain things he's got to do and certain things he's dealing with. And so I love him, and we will be having a memorial service / celebration of life, hopefully not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. We just have to wait to see how everything is going to be, how long everything's going to take and things like that. So we're learning a lot in the process about how all this works. And unfortunately, it is a life lesson that all of us have to learn at some point. So anyway, that being said, Andy's doing okay. Things are good. And yeah, so this weekend, Andy met me in Michigan from Indiana, and I drove up from Illinois, and we've ended at the Michigan Fiber Festival, which is held in Allegan, Michigan, and it's always a good time. This year's event seemed a little more low-key than normal, but still a great event. Thank you to all of you who came out and said you enjoy the podcast. As promised, I said I would sit down and record very soon after returning, and this is the next day, so I'm being true to my word, and yeah. So I can't remember much else that we've done. We did a trunk show at Village Yarn Company in Indiana, and then we had some time off. And yeah, my birthday's this week, so I'll talk a little bit more about how that relates to our business in just a little bit towards the end of the podcast. But yeah, so I'm turning the big 37. It's an unremarkable year. Hopefully there is only remarkable things that happen this year, but yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna get into what I've finished, what I've been working on, because after this I get to go mow the backyard, which I've been putting off for a little bit, and then I probably have to shower because it's hot, and then I'm gonna probably relax for the evening. So anyway, let's show you what is taking a bow. What did I finish in the past several weeks? The first one is a big one, and of course I did not read the instructions all the way through and kind of messed up, but that's okay. So I finished Pogona by Stephen West. This is the large version, and I used 4 skeins of Yarnaceous Fibers Salta fingering in the Roaring 20s set, colors number 1 through 4. I had knit this pattern several years prior. It was a 1 skein shawlette, and he updated the pattern to a larger size. Unfortunately, I kind of read the pattern recipe for how to extend it, and then I didn't turn the page over because I thought it just said bind off, but no, it said do 3 garter ridges so that your shawl would not curl. And of course, I used every last scrap of my yarn because I was weighing this. I started this project when we went to Cancun in June because I wanted something very simple that I could work on, and it is done. It's not rolling as bad as it could be because of the way it's knit, and so yeah. So I cannot show you all this in a full shot. I'm hoping that some of my staff at the studio who does some of my finished object photos will be able to take better photos, but here it is in all of its glory. There's the center spine, and there's one edge going all the way over here. So you can see it has these kind of wedges going in between reverse stockinette and stockinette. You can see it has a little more yellow in color 1, then we go into a little more gray, and then into this kind of sage color, and then an even darker sage color, which tells you how much I was eating yarn, where that's where like the 4th color, that's all that I got with a full skein of fingering weight. So it is a fairly large shawl, and yeah, not sure if this is going to be a holiday gift. I need to go through some of my knits before our knitting at the estate retreat and before I put out charity raffle knits that I've done this year, and see if any of our family members, if these might be good gifts for family members. So now that I'm looking at this, this might be a good one for Andy's mom because it is so large and she could drape it over her shoulders and be really comfortable with it. So it's not necessarily her colors, but I think she would enjoy it. So that's done. This was knit on a size 6 US 4mm needle. And again, it used 4 skeins of fingering. The pattern extension calls for 3 skeins, but those skeins he's using are about 500 yards each. So that's it was about 1,500 to 1,600 yards, and this was just over 1,600 yards. So it kind of came out to the same size. Now, that being said, the extended version in this particular shape is very much, in my opinion, a little too large to wear it as a kerchief, how I would wear a shawl. In fact, I tried to joke, and I can't do it here, but maybe I'll take a photo. My sister wants me to take a photo. When I go like this, I kind of look like a velociraptor, you know, from Jurassic Park, where they, yeah, so, especially in these colors. But it's done, finished, and I cast on something new. I also did just finish yesterday at Michigan, and these are still damp because I blocked them, or they're still blocking, but I soaked them this morning. I finished a pair of socks. These are for me. These are the Weekend Jeans socks using Fishnets yarn strong sock in the Weekend Jeans colorway. I picked this up at the Zombie Apocalypse retreat back in like 2015. And I used Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper mini skein in the Fortune Teller colorway for the cuff, heel, and toe. I do an afterthought heel, 72 stitches, knit on 2 circular needles, doing a 2x2 cuff, ribbing cuff for 10 rounds, and a rounded toe as well as a rounded heel. And those are done. So these are going to finish drying, take pictures, and then they'll go in my sock drawer for when the weather cools down. Cooled down a little bit in Michigan yesterday, which is odd because this was the coolest Michigan Fiber Festival we've ever vended. Usually it's swelteringly hot, and it still was warm on most days, but it did cool down a little bit. And those are knit on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needle. And then I also finished another quick project. This knit up in like 2 days. I finished I'm the Boss of My Stitches At Least, which is by Susan Ashcroft. This is a cowl using 1 skein of DK weight. You can use 2 and make more of an infinity loop cowl. But I had 1 skein of Cyborg's Craft Room Attack and DK in the I Cried Aloud at Night colorway that I purchased from YarnCon back in 2015. So I'm using some older stash, and I knit this on a size 8 US 5 millimeter. She calls for a 7 or an 8, but I wanted a looser fabric. And here it is. It is a little darker than that, but it is a beautiful colorway. Unfortunately, Cyborg's Craft Room is no longer. The owner of that passed away many years ago, and suddenly. And I have 1 more skein of her, of her yarn. And so this is a nice size. It's nice and drapey. It's not too, close, and you can bring it up in the wintertime. And it's a really easy pattern, and you get a really cool effect with these undulating waves. And in fact, as I was knitting it, because it's mostly reverse stockinette, it wanted to curl in on itself. So it is kind of reversible. But you definitely get more bang for your buck with the reverse stockinette side. So I whipped that out super quick. So I was really happy to get that done and finished and have another skein out of my stash. Not that that's stopped me from adding skeins to my stash. But yeah, so this is called I'm the Boss, parentheses, of My Stitches At Least, end parentheses, by Susan Ashcroft. This will be linked along with all other show notes on our blog, which is dramaticknits.com. So yeah, cowl done. I think this may go to Andy's sister-in-law for Christmas, because they haven't gotten anything handcrafted in a couple of years, and I've heard some remarks that they feel left out. So, all right. Let's move on to what's performing. What am I working on? I only have 2 projects on the needles. I was going to show you the next socks that I'm going to knit for Andy, but I'm going to have him pick, and I think he's inside now, but he was out weed whacking the yard, and so wasn't able to nab him before I sat down and recorded. But I'm almost done with this as well. This is the Crystal Fragments shawl by Stephen West. I am doing this as part of our West Knits Create and Collaborate Club that we're hosting at the Leading Men Fiber Arts Studio. We host Create and Collaborate every other Tuesday from 6 to 8 for local crafters. This time we're focusing on any West Knits pattern. Some people are done, some people are still working. And it's kind of hard to see because I have a lot of stitches on hold, so it's not like full laid out. But this uses 5 half skeins. We'll see, one of them is supposed to be more than a half skein, but we're gonna see if I can get away with 5 half skeins, and then like a self-striping or gradient yarn for the middle. This is Earth Yarns Unique Fingering in color number 3012 that I've knit in the center. And then I have Leading Men Fiber Arts Intermission in Smoke on the Water, Tranquil, Barbie's Nighty. The purple is Drama Queen, and the dark teal is Perfection. And so I'm working on these wedges over here, and I'm working on the last wedge right now. And then I get to pick up all the stitches around the whole thing and do an I-cord bind off, as Stephen West likes to do, but it'll look nice. But what I'm debating is you're supposed to use one of the colors from the shawl, but the problem is that I-cord border is gonna pop off of everything else, but not on the section of, like if I use this dark teal, it won't pop off of this section, but it'll pop on everything else. So I'm debating using a mini skein of something else that is not in the shawl so that it'll kind of border the whole piece, if that makes sense. So, and I think that's where the extra yardage would come in. So I should be okay with those respects. But yeah, it's been a lot of learning here. If you like the Vertices Unite or things of that nature, this is very much along those lines, where you're kind of picking up and decreasing and increasing stitches to fill in these wedge shapes. And it's very much kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. So, and I'm knitting that on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. I'm gonna work on that some tonight. Hopefully I can finish that last section and get myself in order to start the I-cord bind off. And then last but not least, I started a new project this weekend. I picked out a kit from 2016 that I purchased at YarnCon from Dragonfly Fibers. And the kit, don't mind my printer, is for the Ashburn shawl by Melanie Berg. This calls for 3 skeins of fingering weight. And I am using Dragonfly Fibers Dragon Sock in Cheshire Cat, Cognac, bag is wanting to fall out of my hands, and Kelpie. This was a kit that I purchased, like I said, many years ago, and it's a pretty easy shawl to do, and I am working on the first section right now. And here we are. You can see I put in just one little peekaboo stripe of the Cognac on the Cheshire Cat. This is very much a high twist yarn. It's 100% superwash merino, and I'm knitting this on a size 6 4mm needle as well. So it's an asymmetrical shawl, which you know I love. And yeah, so it'll be some more peekaboo rows, a couple of them, and then it'll be a section of just the Cognac, and then I'll work in the third color with the peekaboo rows and then the third color at the end. So yeah, been working on that in the hotel room while we were at the show this weekend. And that's in one of my new Fat Squirrel fiber bags that I picked up at the Super Summer Knit Together retreat this July, just a few weeks ago in Nashville. All right, let's keep going. Behind the scenes, my spinning. I did finish the first 2 ounces of some Three Waters Farm 100% Corriedale in the hot and sweet colorway. Here's just a third of the second 2 ounces, so you kind of see the colors. and I'm doing this as a fractal 2-ply. Here is my first 2 ounces, nothing really exciting. And yeah. So slow but steady, I'm working through that, and I will be excited to show you that in the future when it's done. What's going on in the scene shop, my other crafting, I did a little bit of cross stitch, but I like to show you my progress. So this is, you can't see all of it right now, but this is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 stitch along called Fruits of Plenty. And I am still in March's section. But I've been adding, I finished out this kind of line of 10 stitches here, and then I'm working up here. And this is being stitched 2/2 on I believe this is a 36 count Belfast linen from Picture This Plus in the Tycho colorway using 2 shades of blue DMC. And so that's going. I threw in a few stitches, 40 stitches or so this morning. While I was having breakfast. And then my Fox in the Moonlight latch hook is almost done. Hopefully it'll be done by the time I see you again. But you can see the full fox now. Look at that. So I just have that little section to go. And this is a kit from Hirschner's. And I am good on my latch hook, reminiscing of crafts from childhood past. Once that's done, I probably will not latch hook for many years or ever again, but it's been enjoyable. It's not my jam as much as it used to be. All right, let's move on. In the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? I finished listening to, on the way up to Michigan, Blow-Fi by Patricia Cornwell. She is kind of a forensic detective, lawyer, murder mystery writer. And I've listened to many of her Kay Scarpetta novels. This was one of them. I didn't care for this one so much. It felt like there was a lot of pieces missing that I had to assume happened or weren't really explained. But granted, I don't listen to her books in order, and I haven't listened to all of them, so I just kind of randomly listen to one, so I have to kind of figure out what's happened in the past, But I feel like there were chunks missing in the story itself. I finished that. I'm listening to a new book. I'll talk about that when I'm done listening to it. We finished the series American Crime Story Impeachment. This is about the Bill Clinton scandal. We thought it was okay. It was decent. Watched it, enjoyed it. But it said something that we always forgot we were watching it. So if that makes sense, we're like, what do we watch? And we always forgot about that show. So that was put out on FX, but we watched it on Hulu. I did finish the entire series of Legacies. I watched this on Netflix. It was originally put out on CW. The show is now done, but this is a spin-off series from The Vampire Diaries. I guess there was The Vampire Diaries, which I never watched. Then there was The Originals, which again I never watched, but I did watch Legacies. This is about a school for supernatural beings, boarding school. And of course, chaos ensues and things, and it was all right. It was very much the CW formula back to Buffy. Buffy kind of started it all, in my opinion, of there was a musical episode and there was throwbacks to other TV shows and, and then there were spin-off series like Angel and this and that. So it was kind of a nod, nostalgic for me, because I used to watch Buffy back in the day. I've watched the whole series. So it was all right, something to put on while I was knitting. We did watch 2 movies. We watched Uncharted. This is, again, on Netflix, starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. This is based off of the video game series. It was pleasurable. It was action-filled. Again, suspension of disbelief, but it was okay. I like Tom Holland as an actor, so I enjoyed that. And then we also watched Prey. This is on Hulu, and this is a prequel to the Predators series, and I really, really enjoyed Prey. I definitely, and it's Prey. I definitely say if you got Hulu, give it a shot, watch it. Almost the entire cast is Native American, and it's set in the 1700s. And basically, the Predator gets sent on Earth to figure out and rank the predatory levels, and basically he goes against many humans, but one is a challenge. And yeah, it was an interesting sci-fi yet historical kind of mix, so definitely check that out. All right, next up, let's talk stash enhancement. I did get 2 skeins of yarn for a project at Michigan Fiber Festival, but I accidentally left it at the studio. I looked at it, I was like, no, I need to photograph it, and then I forgot I was recording. But I do have 2 skeins of Barnyard Knits. I tend to buy her colorway of the month every month because she sells them for $20 plus shipping, which is really nice. We kind of do the same thing anymore, where we have a discounted pre-order timeline for our colorway of the month. So I had this last time I recorded and I forgot to show it to you. This must have been July's. This is A Walk in the Woods, and I get it on her sock, which is a 75-25. It's the same as our showstopper. And then this is August, I believe it's August, called Painted Lady. This is very pretty. And I'm thinking I have like 13 skeins of her yarn now, with one more on pre-order. I need to find some like fade, because she definitely has a very strong color sense. And so I need to find some like fade patterns. I was thinking of maybe like Stephen West's Lava Lake shawl, which is a side-to-side shawl, but it's really cool the way it's done. It's triangular. I was thinking I need to find like 5 skeins of that to do a fade. So these 2 have been added to said stash that is behind me. And yeah, that's pretty much about it until we get into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. So, first up, let's talk about our annual birthday sale. So yeah, my birthday's on Wednesday, the 24th, turning the big 3-7. But the shop's birthday is the next day, the 25th. So we always have our birthday sale online on the 24th and 25th. And we give 30% off the entire store. Everything in the store is 30% off. And it will be online this year, Wednesday and Thursday, using the coupon code BIRTHDAY. All caps, BIRTHDAY, gets you 30% off. Don't forget, we have free shipping and complimentary yarn winding as well. But guess what? Our newsletter subscribers, and since you're a subscriber of the podcast, even if you're just watching for the first time, our sale will start online for you at 6 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday the 23rd. That's tomorrow night, Tuesday the 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. going through midnight the 25th. Everything in the store is 30% off online using the code BIRTHDAY. Now, if you're local and able to visit the store, the sale is running all week in store from Tuesday through Saturday, the 23rd through the 27th. You don't need to give me the super, discount code at checkout. It's just automatic. And we're really excited to kind of celebrate Leading Men Fiber Arts is turning 9, which is crazy. And one more year will be 10. That's almost unheard of in crafting businesses, and especially small indie dyer businesses. And as you know, we are kind of, we're indie dyers, but we're also now a yarn store, and shifting and growing and expanding, and we're metamorphosizing into this beautiful makerspace that I have in my head, and I can't wait to see where the next 9 years take us. So that's our birthday sale. Don't forget, as Corndog is whimpering because Dad must have went upstairs or something, because he is just not having it. We have crafternoons every Saturday at the shop from 1 to 4 p.m. Bring whatever you're working on. Some Saturdays we are there, which is great. The store is full. Some Saturdays we are traveling, and if the store isn't as full, but we still welcome everyone who would like to come in, plop down at the table, bring whatever craft you're working on, And sometimes there's just a handful of us. Sometimes there's 1 or 2. Sometimes there's 8, 10, 12 people. So just depends on what people's schedules are. Don't forget to check out the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group as well, where we always have 3 different make-alongs going at any given time. There are coupon codes in there for getting discounts on yarn to participate in the make-alongs, as well as we always give different gift certificates to the shop for winners of the make-alongs. And that's just a way to kind of spread the word and celebrate new patterns that have come out featuring our yarn. And last but not least, let's talk about our next 2 upcoming shows, which are going to be on the same weekend because we are having our Knitting at the Estate retreat the same weekend as Wisconsin Sheep and Wool again this year because, well, we had to book the retreat out so far in advance we were unable to move the dates again. So on Saturday, September 10th from 2 to 5 p.m., located in Monticello, Illinois, is the Knitting at the Estate Retreat Market. It's located at the Allerton Park and Retreat Center inside the mansion's library and main foyer. It is open to the public as well as retreat attendees. It is completely free to join us. There is a dozen vendors plus Leading Men Fiber Arts there for the market. We hope you, if you're local, you'll come out and join us, spread the word, and enjoy the grounds as well. There's a beautiful state park, and you have full access to the park as well as entrance into the mansion on Saturday afternoon. And of course, you can sit and chat and hang out with other knitters during the retreat market hours. That same weekend, Andy will be vending up at the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival in Jefferson, Wisconsin from Friday, September 9th through Sunday, September 11th. Hopefully in 2023, I will be able to join him and be able to experience the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival for myself. I've still never been there, but we were able to get in off the wait list last year. And unfortunately, last year's event and this year's event coincided with the retreat. So needless to say, it's been about a half hour, but I had a lot to show, a lot to talk about. But I'm going to leave you at this time, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions or want to leave any comments, please do so on YouTube, just down below. You can find the show on YouTube, our Ravelry group, as well as our blog, dramaticknits.com. Until I see you in a few weeks when I have more news to share, I'm sure, and more projects to show off, I hope you knit something dramatic.